Feature Crew with Jacob Braunschweiger, Chris Oslin, Dylan Hallew. And now, here's the Feature Crew.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Feature Crew Live. Thank you to everybody who joined us last week for the first installment of our new weekly live series on the channel. We are going to be covering AI news. We're going to be doing our normal testing and demos, and then just doing Q&A, chatting, interacting with the chat. So we've got a bunch of exciting news topics and demos lined up for this week. So ready to get going, boys?
Let's do it. And can I just say, I think Dylan has the best intro video of all of us. He actually waves at the camera. He's very, very
Yes,
present.
Nonchalant about it.
Prototype intro video. We're going to be iterating here.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, if we're starting off early with some news, I guess we'll start from the top here. What do we think about? Let me share my window here. We got Sam Altman announcing that we're going to get some Codex updates. I don't think this is entirely surprising given the rampant love of Claude Code. It is Claude Code Week, Claude Code Month here in the tech world. We hear about it constantly. And so I think it makes sense to me that there's going to be a response here, right? There's going to be some equivalent push here. I don't know what that looks like, but excited to see. Looks like we're going to have something to demo and try out starting next week. We'll get some release. And then expect more over the month. Do we have any opinions? What do we think this is? We obviously have no insider knowledge here, but what do we think?
I think this is somewhat damage control. Like, you know, not to lead too much here, but like my overall take is that the coding agents are, at least from the harness side, are often very similar. And from the model side, you know, there's always like usually there's a clear best coding model at any given time, and it rotates around as new models come out. And so this seems like more of a response to all of the sudden like spike of hype for Claude Code paired with Opus 4.5, which is a great combo. But I would expect the coding agents and coding models to continue the sort of cyclical pattern that we've seen over the last year. So I think this is more of a sort of marketing moment, damage control on the public narrative. What do you guys think?
I think they are the best at this, right? Because like it's not just announcing it; they're also like, "Oh, hey, we reached cybersecurity level high," so that gets the hype train going. OpenAI continues to be the best at this, the best at driving that hype wheel. But I think damage control, response to Claude Code, gotta respond to it. It's everywhere, and not just in the hobbyist world anymore. You're hearing about it at the big enterprises. You're seeing really large shops use this, and to me, that was the sea change over the last month or so, right? I don't know. Like we said last podcast, did everybody just go back on Christmas break, have some free time, and try it? But something happened where now we're seeing it deployed at big companies, and that moves the narrative a bit.
I agree with that.
I don't even think it was. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, to that point, I really don't think it was like a step change of like performance. It was literally just execs looking at tech Twitter over Christmas break and then being like, this is the hot thing, and then they haven't been working for a week, so they're all anxious to make impact. And they're like, we're gonna use Claude Code. I guess it's interesting to that point of like it being damage control. I think a lot of these labs, again, no insider knowledge, but they probably are sitting on significantly better releases, and they decide to release them when they're almost like forced to. And this probably feels like that, right? Like they've been cooking something, and they're like, oh, you know, this is now like something we need to release because Codex is already like pretty good for like most use cases, and this is like, okay, it's now even better for these range of use cases. I think it is interesting, this whole like cybersecurity, you know, posturing. It is really important, but it's hard. Like there's always like ways of getting around, you know, the whole RAI filters and stuff like that, prompt escalation and so on. So it's, I don't know, I think it's a good idea for them to be like, yeah, we're waiting to release this because like, you know, this is even better and now we need cybersecurity. Is interesting from Samé. Yeah, I think it's just probably forcing the hand and making sure that they release something that might win the best model again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited to give it a shot. It'll be fun to put it through its paces. Sorry, Jacob, you got more there?
I was just going to say there's been a lot of chatter about, and we talked about this last week, about the codename Garlic model, supposedly GPT 5.3, which isn't a surprise. I mean, the model release cadence has gone up over time. Like a year or 2 years ago, it was you get a new major named model, like maybe 6 months, maybe a year, right? Maybe 6 months was the cadence for like a 0.5. Maybe it was a year plus to get a full number bump. And there weren't many model releases in between, or at least many marketed model releases in between. And now, with sort of inference scaling and these RL flywheels that they have going, there are new models more constantly, right? More continuously. So not a surprise that we're seeing this. And then it seems like OpenAI's cadence is like release the new version of the chat model, the model for the general model, and then follow that up with the coding variant of that new base model.
Yeah,
makes sense.
I mean, credit where credit's due for these coding models. They are getting very good. Speaking from the tech side, as Chris was alluding to about like it being used in house, I'm hearing folks be like, "Wow, this is to them no longer a toy," and that's because often adoption takes a long time in enterprise. So like I'm seeing that across the board, and I did say like a lot of this I think was AI tech Twitter hype, but I think there's a root of people starting to use these products more regularly, and they're kind of realizing how powerful these are. So I think this year will be interesting for it. Last year we were like, oh yeah, the agents. I think now it's going to be like year of adoption as well, right?
Right,
So
and people talk about capability overhang. Like at any given time, there's an insane amount of capability that is possible with the technology. There's like two levels of capability overhang. There's like what's possible with the technology that hasn't been productized, and then once it's productized, there's like how long does it take people to discover that product, right? And I felt 100%. Like coding agents, whether it be Claude Code or Codex or GitHub Copilot or insert your favorite coding agent here, have been really, really good for like 6 months. And so good that no matter what model harness combo I'm using, I often don't have to even think about using a different one because they're also good. And for most tasks, they're doing it well. And for hard tasks that I really want control over, maybe I do them myself, or maybe I work in a chat client, and do a little bit more of a manual process there. So it does seem like this whole recent, to me, it seems like this recent hype train on tech Twitter is like that second type of capability overhang catching up, 3 to 6 months after the point where agents got really good at writing code.
Yeah, and I think, in my opinion, the framing is Anthropic versus OpenAI. Like Google regressed a little bit for me. I don't know if that was just the weird stuff I'm doing or what, but I feel like Google still has to actually respond with the developer ecosystem. It doesn't seem like they're having the same takeoff right now, which is surprising given their background.
Are you saying model or like anti-gravity?
Both. Yeah, I'm saying model and then their environment around it, right? I think to Claude Code's credit, one of the things it was good at is the actual harness of Claude Code is pretty good. You can leave this thing running for a while with the right setups. And you can do that with Codex too, but something about the way they're delivering it moved the needle. And so you're getting a response from OpenAI. And I think Google's coming from behind. Because Google had this regression. I don't know if this was a quantizing thing or what, but it felt like it got worse a few weeks after release. I don't know if that's just somehow you're ratcheting things around. With Google models, I often get pushed to the lower tier unexpectedly. Like, you run out of usage and their way of continuing it is, oh, now we're bumping you down to Flash. They're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I don't want Flash. Just tell me I'm out of usage or tell me servers are busy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't know because like I felt for the first couple weeks, Gemini 3 Pro was a super strong model, and then 5.2 and Opus 4.5 came around, and I had never really looked back at Gemini, so I haven't tried it in a while.
And I should say, I don't have the tweet up, but I think Google has been teasing a release too, so we should expect in the next month or two them to put something out. Probably.
Yeah, hopefully we get some videos up on the channel. It's been a little bit quiet lately.
Yeah, we got to edit some live streams down. So per these sort of coding models being real and people shipping things, Andreessen Horowitz put out this chart, and it essentially just shows that like the dumping of apps onto the App Store is reaching unprecedented levels, right? We are just absolutely flooding the App Store with apps. And it'll be interesting to see. It sort of reminds me of security things. I guess it is a security thing, but it's this adversarial thing of the technology improves for releasing it, then the technology will improve for vetting it. And how does that all net out? There was a lot of talk on Twitter and or X, the threads about, oh my gosh, the App Store is full of garbage. Every store is full of garbage, right? No matter what it is. You can look at Steam, you can look at the iOS App Store. I don't know that changes much for users. I think users are still going by word of mouth. I think the era of I download an app because it's top of the App Store or featured, I'm not going to say it's over, but it feels like we're past peak on that.
I don't know. I don't even know, because those, given that there are so many more apps rolling out, maybe more trash than we're used to, even though, as you said, these app stores have always been full of trash. The editorial or the sort by top downloads, might be extra valuable now because there's even more trash coming in. Like,
top downloads, I agree. I think that's different than featured. Featured to me became a spot you could buy or move some needles to get up there.
Right. So, but why would there being more apps change the power of that feed? Yeah, I agree.
I don't know that it did. I think the discourse was that, like, oh my gosh, the app stores are getting so full, and I just don't think most users are going to see these apps. I think when you do end up downloading a bad app like this, is at least when I've seen family members do it, it's usually based on they searched for a hyper-specific use case when they should have used the more generic tool. Like, I'll make something up. It's like, oh, I want to design an app logo. So instead of being like, oh, you can just go to Nano Banana and prompt that, or go to one of the main models and prompt that, they end up getting like Logo Maker App X9 free. And you're like, that's still a problem. I think that gets worse for now. I feel like that's about education in the market of just, I don't know, this like one-off tool you got probably isn't worth downloading.
I think the more dominant thing is going to be that a very small percent of these apps ever get any usage. Like,
totally. Yeah, of course.
Which is maybe was already the case, but if you spend a weekend vibe coding something, throw it up online, and you don't win the Twitter lottery, right?
Well, there's real danger there too, right? Like, you saw people's info get leaked with people making, I don't know, it was like some dating app thing that leaked a bunch of info. There was a Bible app for women selling, like, there was all this stuff that happened. You're going to see more of that.
I mean, even aside from that, I think to Jacob's point, it's so much easier to put shovelware up and then maybe hit Twitter lottery, right? Then I think to that point is that there's a lot more security vulnerabilities and issues. So, like, I don't know, there's like even bigger funnel of just like shovelware, and then part of that is just terrible apps. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens as time goes on and it gets even more bespoke when you have like, oh, like we have excess cogs and I saw you had this problem. Do you want me to make an app for you? Like, that could really be the future, right? And then you're gonna have, I don't know how that looks. Like, it'll be interesting to see when you have like.
And what was Andreessen Horowitz had an app that makes apps, right? That they were pushing really hard. Do you remember the name of that? Oh, what was it called?
Not off the top of my head, sorry.
I saw a couple of these, so I don't remember which one it was.
But Wabi maybe.
But then, then that becomes the question of like, okay, so then you're going into the app that makes apps to then find apps, because if you're using,
where's it going?
I don't see a world. I mean, I haven't used any of these, but I don't really see a world where there's a one-click button to like provision your profile and publish this on the App Store, like, and you make your Apple developer account. Like, I don't see that happening. So it's like, okay, you need people to download this like, Slop app to then find apps. So it's got its own Slop App Store inside the Slop.
It was this. They had this.
Yeah, I just think this is like the kind of.
Oh wow, they invested a ton in the landing page.
That's how you know.
It's always a bad sign.
I mean, look, I think this is the classic case of like, just because you can doesn't mean there's necessarily purpose or PMF or whatever, right? So I think it's more just, oh, we can hit this and it's going to be cool, and like they're selling people and they're probably just trying to get the like top, creators, and then they can actually make something useful from it. But
And I'm sure we have a bit of bias here too, right? These are little mini apps to keep right. There's definitely a market for that. There's a lot of people who it's too high of a barrier to stand up an IDE and figure it out. I get told this at work all the time when I say designers should prototype and code. But
Right, but if it's too high of a barrier, is your thing worth it? Like, that's my point.
Yeah, it is, because this pitch here is like personal app, right? Like I make a bedtime story selector for my daughter or something, right? And you're not gonna put that on the app store because there's no market for that. But you might have an experience with technology you haven't had before of like, oh, cool, I got this thing that's mine.
Right.
I can use it.
Which is sort of like that just-in-time UI conversation, right? It's like, it's like,
That's
but
like
if you're talking about bedtime story app, you are now intrinsically competing with like, okay, what if I ask ChatGPT for my bedtime story, which it definitely can do, and it can do text and images, and so it's like,
yes.
Is the UI that you make in your personal app going to be better than? So it'll be interesting to see that play out, right? For these like simple use cases. Like
I would
that's where
expect
like
this to
Apple
go.
could get into the fray. Like that's where the hardware gets interesting. Like there's a whole lot of, I think, other ways to solve this problem that is not let's make bespoke apps just because you can. You know what I mean?
And it
Apple
doesn't
has
make sense.
Like infra for this with like app clips and Swift UI, like that could make it.
Yep.
You know, sort of like multiply the capabilities of the existing LLMs. So
the fact that they haven't done this yet is, you know, I think a missed opportunity.
I mean, they haven't missed shit yet, so.
Apple's full of missed AI opportunities. It's kind of their specialty right now. But
it's fine. I mean, at the end of the day, these things take time, and like,
yep.
I mean, I do think if Steve were around, we'd see a lot more interesting stuff coming out of Apple, but that doesn't
100%.
mean that they're not going to figure some stuff out in the long run. For me, the real question with Apple is like, how are they going to make money off of this? Like, how are they going to grow revenue off of this? For a lot of other companies, it's pretty clear, but for Apple
One subscription.
I think you'll tie AI usage to a subscription. They still want to sell their hardware every year. If they can find a new vector to have some incremental improvement in the phones every year, and AI is somehow that great. But I would not be surprised if the model makers fold this into their app story, right? It kind of makes sense that they would. We haven't seen ChatGPT or any of these folks really make a canvas worth a darn yet, but I think you will. I think you see right now these standalone Claude canvases. Like, man, that's getting like one of them is, if I remember right, pencil.dev. Like super cool experiment where they're making this really fast reactive canvas. I expect this to be natively built into Claude Code and ChatGPT within a few years, like 100%.
Yeah, I mean this is all just-in-time UI acumen, right?
Yes.
Like, why would to Jacob's point, if it can do the actual text modality and even like run code and stuff, then if the only thing you're adding is UI, why would you not just have the like front end make the UI and then just be like, come back? You know what I mean?
Now, where I would put, like, I would say that somebody like Figma actually has a huge reason to do something like this, right? Where their canvas is proven over a decade, and for like not just canvas interactions, but things like components and sharing and real-time collab and things that are not easy to build, right? And when we're in a moment where like all these model makers are being asked like, how the hell are you going to make money? And they're being asked like, why are you trying to do everything? And like, why aren't you focusing on something specific? Like, I don't know if I agree with that question, but it's going to be hard to justify like, okay, yes, we're going to spin up a whole Figma team that's going to rebuild Figma from the ground up. And then we're going to spin out a whole, like, we're going to rebuild all the apps from the ground up that already exist. And just then, you know,
we're going to acquire probably in some cases, right? Depending on, like, I don't know, because the counter argument to that is you're setting valuations at this point. We got to be near $1 trillion, if not more, right? And you're like, okay, well, if that's the case, you do have to handle multiple industries. And you had that rumor, I could track down good info on it, of like allegedly OpenAI wanted some share of discoveries made from their models. And you're like, okay, well, that, I don't know if that's true, but the meta story behind that is we need new revenue streams besides just subscribers. So adding tools to it, having more tiers, something like that makes a lot of sense. Like Supabase or somebody like that seems ripe for acquisition by one of these. Like, they are going to move up the stack. It makes sense to me to do that.
But it's not easy. Like, if you're a real company, it's not easy to be acquired by like an OpenAI, because OpenAI has no cash, right? So when they acquire somebody, it's OpenAI stock, which has big question marks.
Google
attached.
sure does though.
But Google does, right? So this is,
Yeah.
I think your point is valid, but it's a question of like, does that actually change? Okay, does this mean like the Googles and the Microsofts who already have a bunch of these apps and have cash to acquire the ones they don't have are in a better position than the Anthropics and the OpenAIs who can only really acquire things using
It's
their
a
own
good
stuff.
argument for that, right? Because the ecosystem matters a lot. Especially in enterprise, the ecosystem matters a lot. You will happily be 6 months, a year, 2 years behind as long as you have HIPAA compliance and you have GDPR compliance. Like all
In fact,
those
you
ways
want to be 2 years behind.
You want, I was
Please,
gonna say, like, it's
please have
literally
other people try this first, right?
Yeah.
I forget that, like, you know, all these tech revolutions take so much time. Like, we're so early to this. This is literally like the early adoption phase.
Yeah, Satya talks about the inning. Boys, what inning do you think we're in?
It's like the first or second inning, right? Like,
I was
you're
gonna
not
say
even
second, third inning.
Second, third. I was gonna say second, third.
I mean, when you think about how much intelligence there's still left, like, quote unquote, on the table, right? Like,
yeah, this is true. And then if we talk about
but
real
then
world
I'm like,
intelligence,
you know, like, even with intelligence, it's like, to your point of like having we call it capacity overhang or whatever. Like, I feel like with what we have, there's so many more ways to instrument it, right? Like the fact that only now in industry we're starting to be like, wow, coding agents are kind of good. Like, that's insane, because that was like 6-12 months. And these are the people who can like write and read code. It'd be like a doctor being like, oh, this X-ray thing, oh, it seems like a toy to me. Like, now you'd be like, obviously, like, it's such a crucial thing. So it seems like we're still really early. But yeah, I mean, crazy times. So I feel like there's still a lot going on here. And I think tech Twitter as well is like very, you know, in its own bubble, right? When you go talk to real people, they'll be like, what's Claude? You know, like, that's how early this is.
Who's
And then
Claude?
who's Claude? Yeah, like, even I hear a lot of folks, like younger people being like, oh, instead of ChatGPT, it's like, oh, ask chat.
All right.
Like, it's becoming a verb.
My argument for why we're not in the first inning is you're starting to move up the hardware stack for things being consumed, right?
Well, I mean, even Crime Fury in the chat said, I heard Apple is doing an AI pin, which is probably a massive signal of, you know, hardware starting to be hot.
And like, I mean, I really hope they do. I really hope this is not true. Like, I've always felt like when I saw that first, what?
Really? You don't want to make a pin?
When I saw the Humane and the rabbit thing come around, I was like, Steve would just have a day with this. Like, he would hate it. It would be like the equivalent of those, you know,
but the guy wore a, you know,
the styluses.
Turtleneck.
We have styluses, right? You put it, you can lose it. Yuck, right? Like, yuck. I mean, what if you tell Steve, hey, AI is here, so we're gonna ask everybody to put a police body cam on their chest, but we'll make it nice.
Okay, but then, I mean, I feel like for Apple, AirPods have to be their AI device.
Yes.
Right? Like, surely. Like, they already have it. Yes. They're just kind of like not done anything with it.
And Her showed us, right? In Her, it's phone plus AirPods. Like, they could do anything they wanted, and they got so much right so far. And what did they do for hardware? It was phone plus AirPods.
Yeah, just a little phone in the pocket, right? Just there you go, Samantha. Just take a look.
I still feel, I don't know how you guys feel. Do you think AirPods was left by Steve?
Yes, 100% was.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, Apple was shipping, long while Steve was alive, Apple was shipping a pair of earbuds in every box. And if you don't think he was telling me, we got to get rid of those wires. Like, I mean, absolutely.
Working on the Steve voice.
Not enough. Yuck, right? It's the same thing.
So good.
I mean, so this is my argument for second and third inning is we're now like moving up the hardware stack for like, it's not just raw compute. Now we're having the storage problem. We're having a memory problem. If you've tried to buy any SSD memory for your computer, hopefully you already bought that because it's going to go crazy. It already is. But that to me says like, okay, we're getting, the pie is growing, the shortages are growing. So you're starting to see a more complete hardware story for not only are people using this, but inference matters. Storage is going to matter for these folks over time. Yeah. I don't want ChatGPT to lose a conversation, and the more hefty things I make, the more this matters.
And I would say that Berkut Prime has a good point in chat, which is like, even compared to last year, like significant development in the field, IDEs, agents outside of coding agents, like. Since we're already at the point where we're like actively talking about job replacement in software engineering and then seeing the beginnings of like knowledge work following the same path. We have inference scaling, right? So we're not even, we're like 2 breakthroughs in, and in some ways, I mean, maybe we could say that like anything before GPT 3.5 was like batting practice and doesn't even count as the first inning. Okay. But even if we say that, I still think we have to at least be in the second inning. Maybe transitioning into the third.
On that note, the other news story I was going to bring up was folks were all wilding out that I think this individual's DeepMind, right? Co-founder, chief AGI scientist, Google DeepMind. Shane Legg was saying, they're starting to hire people to consider what happens after AGI appears. Now, this isn't new. Anthropic's been doing this. There were articles last year about hiring philosophers or hiring people to consider the humanistic elements of this. And then pushed further, he continued the same timeline he's had since, I guess, 2009, 50% chance of minimal AGI by 2028, which I think is a fine bet. I don't really see any problem with that. It's not unexpectedly fast to me. That seems broadly right. It is noticeably slower than the AGI, 2027 paper. So he's a little past that. But
yeah.
Right, and people have different definitions of AGI, and I'm actually quite tired of like this like AGI is going to be, and this is why I like saying 50% AGI or something, whereas like, and I recently all the rich people are in Davos, and so it was like Demis Hassabis and Dario Mondi sat down and like had the day after AGI discussion. What's going to happen the day after AGI? And that's not really how the discussion went, but the title just pissed me off. Like there is no day after AGI.
Right. It's not a singular.
It's not like somebody doesn't hop on a live stream and say, "We are excited to announce AGI." Like,
but do subscribe in case we do.
Right? Well, yeah, I mean, sure, but it's going to be like. I think Sam said this years ago, and he's very right, which is it's going to be like the lobster boiling in the pot, and it's just going to be, we have spiky intelligence. Some spikes will cross some very important threshold earlier than other spikes. Eventually, the whole thing might smooth out, but over time, there's not going to be one moment of AGI.
Yeah, I think there is a moment of AGI. I don't think the world just like you wake up and the next day, everything's fundamentally changed. Like we keep saying on the channel, like atoms are hard. Right, like getting AGI is the first part. Part of what I was saying with the innings was like, then you need to think about all the hardware, right? How do you actually translate all this cognitive work into moving the world? But I think this year will be fascinating in terms of like, even if we're not at quote unquote AGI, it will probably start replacing jobs, and that's when it's going to become very hot. Right now, people are like, oh, like people kind of in the industry are like, we should be thinking all about this, and many people like. Don't care, this is like a pie in the sky. But then when you get like 5% unemployment as a result of AI, they're going to be like, oh, what do we do? And then when you start replacing physical labor with robots and AI, then you're like, oh. So I think it's going to like.
And it depends on where in the market you're replacing to that point. Like right now, for better or worse, the moral sympathy for the software dev profession is not high in the political sphere. Like it's just not a big enough percentage of employment. But as you start to say,
they make a lot of money, so it's like they're fine.
Well, but I was going to say, there's actually the kind of like everyone thought the easier jobs, quote unquote, would go first.
Right.
You actually find like creative and digital stuff are going first because it's like, I mean, it makes sense now. There's so much more data, right?
And you don't need to move atoms.
You don't need to move atoms, right? Like you're just like everything's on GitHub. Or on YouTube, you just go like siphon all that, and then you're kind of like halfway there. Yeah. Whereas like, oh yeah, you need to go like work on a job site. Like no one's going with a body cam to record how they like operate there. So it's kind of weird that the kind of more skilled folks are going to get ripped up first. So I do wonder if they're like, you're more skilled, you probably have way more access to like push politicians, do like advocacy stuff like that. Is that going to become like a really hot thing towards the end of this year?
Well, and in talking to friends and family, I think the thing where I would say you have like light AGI is we haven't solved continuous learning, right? And that's actually something people think is happening. Like when I talk to my dad, when I talk to people not in tech, they will talk about like, oh, well, and it learns everything I do and it's learning from what I'm doing all the time and it's updating. And you're like, no, actually, like it sort of does this mask thing of like, yeah, it's summarizing your conversation. It has some notepad in the background where it has reasoning about you, but
Yeah.
It's not how we've been trained to think from like a Facebook algorithm or something, where every interaction is making my algorithm better, at least more focused, right?
Yep.
That's not what's happening yet. And to
I
me,
mean,
that's a
it
break
sort of
that's
is in the way that Facebook is, right? Because Facebook didn't solve continuous learning either, right? We have memories now, which function in the same way as like building your profile continuously, but the model itself is not.
I would argue it's less robust than, say, like an Instagram ad model or something that is doing frequently periodic updates on your taste and getting better at that. It's not, we're not quite there yet on the.
But it's just that's your embedding, right? It's not the
Yes.
model. And I would say I think memories are getting pretty good.
Yes, but there's still an upper limit to that you don't have for the ad models. The ad models can afford to get really, really, really specific because it doesn't have this context window problem at all.
Yeah, I would push back on how specific they can actually get, right? If the specificity is, oh, you're a coder, and so then your embedding will map to this like coding tool, and then more specific would be, oh, you're a AI native coder who likes to code on the go, so then this more specific tool is good for you. Like, that's pretty specific, but it's not as specific as, hey, remember this conversation we had last week? Let's pick it up. Like,
I think you're underestimating how specific the ad models can get, right? They can derive very specific. You're this age, this geo, you focused on these images the most, you watch these videos the most, you do this at different times a day. Like,
right, but all those things are possible with memory, right? So I guess it's like it's more of this. They have more of like an intuitive thing going on.
Yeah,
I guess because it's like an embedding, and so it's really just vector math and like how close is your vector to these other vectors. So, but like they don't have like they can't recall like really specific things.
Sort of. I mean, I could know everything you've ever looked at in a feed, right? To an infinite extent.
Right, but there's a
correct. You're getting bucketed, and it's all about how many buckets do you define. But that's not a limitation of the tech. They can make as specific a buckets as they want for, as long as they think there's ROI there.
Right, but then to get to the point where you're like recalling specific words, then you need a bucket for like every character.
You have to have an individual bucket.
So then it is a limitation.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's different. It's different, for sure. And neither of them are continuous learning, I guess is my point.
And that feels like whatever we want to call that moment, that will be a step change. Is okay, this thing is actually refining relative to me at a minutia, at a certain level that you're not getting right now.
And you still need memories. I think you need both.
Oh yeah, totally.
It needs to build its intuition about you as well as the specific knowledge about you.
I think that's right.
I think the reason continuous learning is so hard is like there's just so much garbage in.
Yeah.
So there's no way to like correctly label what you should learn or not learn, at least right now without human intervention. I think that's the problem, right? You just can't figure that out, and you don't want your model being effectively poisoned by like garbage. That's a hard problem. But like once they get it, like, I think the kind of mental model right now is like a human is like very effective with a low number of examples learning something. When you're a child, you touch a hot stove once, you're like, hot is bad. Right. Yeah, AI model has to do this like a billion times and then be like, hot is bad. And until you get to the point where you can look at those billion and be like, these are good billion and these billion are bad billion. You're not really going to be able to solve that problem without like human labeling, which is what they do, right? When they do like supervised fine tuning, that's like supervised fine tuning. They literally have people like help it out. So we'll see. That would be another breakthrough if they figure that out, and they could just keep adapting and stuff like that. But I think there's also a big safety problem, right? That's why they kind of checkpoint. That's why it's 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. They're like, hey, like let's not let it just go off the rails. But that might be third, fourth innings. And right now we're second, third, so we'll see.
And it'll still probably be the same, right? Where there's still base model checkpoints, and then something more akin to the ad model. Like there's this embedded profile that you have that is applied on top of the model, and then there's your memories, right? So then there's like 3 layers of the stack, to put it in Satya's terms.
And then to your all's point, even when you get this more advanced continuous learning model, it will not be evenly distributed. It's going to be weird and spiky. Like when this happens, I was telling some friends of expect to get better diagnostics in the non-first world medical system, because our system of regs will prevent it from being deployed for a long time. Long being relative here, but there's a higher threshold to get through for using this in court of law in a doctor's office. But if I go somewhere that has slightly more lax, I mean, you're seeing this with like stem cell procedures and stuff already, right? Like the sort of bro science stuff. But you can expect this with AGI too. You're going to have weird pockets in the world that differentiate themselves by being early adopters of certain industries, right? Where they're like, oh yeah, you can just, in our country, you can swing over and get an AI diagnostic for $20.
Yep.
And it's 90%, 99% of the time it's really good, and 1% of the time it's dead wrong. So if you want to pull the lever, call she.com on whatever.
I mean, that's what Crime Fury is saying. Like, it's an interesting point about hiring an accountant, and will it ever be completely AI if they're capable, professional liability? That's where I think there will be very interesting legislation around it. And unfortunately, I think the problem is legislation basically by definition needs to follow. Like, it can never be proactive. When people are like, oh, it's so slow. It's like,
you really don't want it to
point.
be. If it's too proactive,
you can't be proactive. That's a really bad, like we can spin off into why it's bad. But it'll always be like that, right? Like, you'll have a professional body. You don't want a random person operating on you. There is, like liabilities and stuff like that. So, like, we'll see.
Yeah. To your point, even on the accounting level, there's still a DRI, directly responsible individual, right? Somebody has to take responsibility for the output that was delivered to the customer, right? So even if you're a company of one, you're the DRI, right? Whatever it does is a reflection of you. And I think even in a world where we have fully integrated AGI to these professions, you're still going to hire a lawyer. They will be using this tool, and you probably don't want a lawyer that doesn't use the tool at some certain threshold. Same with an accountant. But if the IRS comes back and says, hey, your taxes are all jacked up, who gets sued if it's just an app that did it?
I mean, but that's like, where does that line get drawn, right? That's going to be fascinating later on, right? But when everything's like, oh, technically it's quote unquote deterministic, then you're getting to a point where like there are some things that are a little bit gray. And that's where we're like, you want an accountant maybe to help you with strategy, to be like, hey, if you actually opened a company and did X, Y, Z, you might save money long term. But that's not the snapshot of what it is right now. Like that's quote unquote creativity, but AI seemingly is able to be creative as well. So where does that line go, right? Like, if we are like 5 years in the future and we continue to get these like gains, even if they're like hollowing out, it might be at the point where it can just replace all of this knowledge work, which includes professional bodies. So
well, on other news, we have a few product launches that happened. I think the first one that comes to mind for me is there's a new text-to-speech model. So the Qwen 3 TTS model. They released a few of them, right? They released some for voice design, cloning, text-to-speech itself. And the reaction so far have been like, this is the closest to an 11 Labs competitor that can run on your own hardware that we've seen. And that opens up some really interesting scenarios, right? You can start to have games with native audio gen happening with the right hardware. I don't think the hardware demands for this are actually that crazy. I haven't downloaded it, but
do we know how many parameters it is?
It does say that at some point. I don't know off the top of my head.
I can look into it while you work on the demo there.
Okay.
Let's see.
1.7B maybe right there, streaming.
1.7B.
They're all either 1.7 or 0.6.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Let's see if we're streaming my audio correctly, but we're gonna give it some new text in case the canned one's just really good. I can't believe you aren't subscribed to the Feature Crew. It is the best podcast /stream out there. I'm curious how it handles the slash. We'll keep it getting creepy at the end. That's fine.
And Chris, while you're working on this, we got a couple of people joining the chat. A blank
Sweet
channel caught us live. He loves our reviews. Thank you for joining.
Awesome. Yeah.
James Jorash, hello from New York City. We got 2 New York City boys in the chat right now, or in the stream right now. So I hope you're preparing for the storm that everyone's talking about.
We're staying in Sunday. we're even seeing all the stuff like Monday service. It's going to be impacted. So we'll see.
All right, let's see if we get audio. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
I cannot hear that.
No, okay.
Sorry, no shit audio.
It's easy to if you just go to your stream, you can include audio on Riverside.
Yeah. You can tell it's our second live stream.
We're working out the kinks.
All of the kinks.
We're working on the gigs. Let's see. And then in the meantime, let us know what you want from reviews, other content. We're trying to get back into more regular streaming, plus getting more flagship videos out. So let us know what you want to see.
James James says storm equals vibe code all day. This is correct.
That is the vibe, honestly.
So just another day for Jacob. That's about right.
And
let's see.
Torsten Meyer, Willkommen.
Oh, we got some Germans.
German.
All right, awesome. Love the international reach.
As the resident German here, give you a hearty Willkommen.
All right, I think it went. Let's see what it did.
I can't believe you aren't subscribed to the Feature Crew.
Oh my god!
It's the best podcast of Strin out there. I
Strin.
can't believe you aren't.
Oh my god! I hated everything about that.
I mean, look. For a TTS model that's just running
on device with that is
if it's running on device. Yeah.
Yes, and with we said 1.6, 1.8 B parameters.
Yeah.
That's feasible to run other stuff at the same time on a normal consumer hardware. So it's impressive, but sorry, some of these AI voices really rub me the wrong way.
All right. Well, I just watched Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, so it's fresh in my head. We're gonna go with a gravelly voice that would fit in a Guillermo del Toro movie. Great movie, by the way.
Feature Crew After Hours movie recommendations.
Yeah. Oh, we can go movie recommendations. The stream will be 4 hours long. We'll drop our viewership to none, but it'll be great.
Let's see, nearly there. Okay.
Crime Fury says sticking with 11 Labs, which I think is very fair for now.
Yeah.
And I think to Chris's point, this is more about there's always going to be the best cloud model when you want the best voice. Right. And then these on-device models will start to open up new applications.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned gaming is you start to have this,
Yep.
Can I generate things in real time? So the models are fast enough to generate the script. Now do we have voice coming? It's not quite enough for Cyberpunk or something where you're running around, I click the character to interact and it says something. But if you were making a sort of visual novel or that sort of adventure game, you could probably get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. We were not there even a year ago.
I can't believe you aren't
This is not
subscribed to
gravelly.
the Feature Crew.
You gotta warn us
It's
for
the
this
best
shit.
podcast and stream out there.
That was not what I asked for. But so interesting development. We'll probably do more reviews of the Qwen models. I know a few others have come out, but wanted to give it a shot. Is there any more in the chat, or do we want to try some live demos here?
Yeah, I would say get the next demo set up. James is talking about he's been vibe coding for 2 months with anti-gravity, considering moving to Claude. I don't know if you were here at the beginning. We were talking about how Claude Code is awesome, particularly the new Claude models. Claude Opus 4.5 in particular is standout, incredible model. I would just say that, maybe spend a weekend trying a bunch of different IDEs and figure out which combination of the what you're getting out of your favorite model, so the quality of the harness, and then also the feature set around, right? Whether that might be cloud agents, or is it in terminal, or do you have chat, do you have autocomplete, whatever features are most important to you. The feature set's not the same across all the IDEs, across all the different agentic coding platforms. And so I shouldn't speak for the group here. My personal recommendation is figure out where you feel the most comfortable, maybe even use multiple, but there's always going to be a new model on the horizon that's going to be the best coding model. And these agentic harnesses are always changing under the hood all the time. So find your favorite features, find a place where you can use whatever the best new model is. It would be my recommendation. What's the next demo, Chris? What are you setting up?
I am setting up. I'm going to have it redo our site. We're going to give that a shot.
Ooh, Claude Code.
Yep.
All right, James, you can take it. We're going to show you some Claude Code. You see what you think.
I'm going to do. It's not necessarily the best practice approach, but we're going to give it a shot. So I'll share. And first off, I will show you what we're working with here. We're starting from a pretty bare bones world. If you have not visited the Feature Crew website, that's okay. You don't have to. It is wildly out of date. It represents a previous era of the Feature Crew.
Yes, and it was a one shot, I think, GPT 4.0 vibe code before vibe coding was a thing.
So I am
time capsule.
Yeah, that's a little moment in time. Let's see. Okay, and we'll share this one. Okay, so I'm just giving it a prompt. I have a website, featurecrew.io, that is for our YouTube channel. It is wildly out of date. Please use best practices in your front-end dev skill. So we're using the Anthropic produced front-end dev skill. Theoretically, I have added this for Claude across all users on my computer, which is just me. But we'll see if it picks it up. Making a website, just have it run locally. You can pull content and get an idea of our latest work and I should find our channel. Let's pull that up. We'll see what it does. So I'm curious what it'll build out here.
And you're just saying from scratch here.
Yeah.
Do we have a list of features that we wanted, or just we'll see what it does?
No, I kind of wanted to one-shot it. Like technically what you should do is have a Claude MD file. You should probably give it a scaffolding to start. I'm telling it to run locally because otherwise you're going to run down a rabbit hole of, do you want Supabase? Do you want to push to Azure or AWS? And I've done that to myself before and it's hell. Don't do that until you're ready to deploy. All right.
Let's go.
Send it.
This is the very first live stream, what we got, vibe coding, React review.
Yeah, we've never done it live.
Never done it live.
Fair few times, pre-recorded, but never live.
Very many times recorded. But folks, let us know what you think. We're hoping to actually do this more regularly in our lives as well, make it a bit more interactive, show the process of vibe coding and so on. So do give us feedback, but also this is our first time, so expect some potential hiccups, but let's see how it goes.
And I think over time we want to get more. We get better at running multiple in parallel, right? So there's not like waiting time, and we can also take prompts from the chat, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think we should do competitive vibe coding too. We should each get a challenge and move between how we're doing.
Yeah,
we've already got a little bit off the rails. It thought we were doing film and movie reviews, so not sure why, but it looked for us, and it did find our website. It found our X, so okay.
Okay.
So maybe it'll correct itself on the movie review thing, given that all the content.
Yeah.
That's AGI. It literally heard our live stream about talking about movies for 3 seconds, and it's already gone off on that.
Yeah, dude, if Claude Code dropped something in the chat, that'd be incredible.
I would actually.
So it's found YouTube AI podcast.
I would be off grid tonight. Like that'd be
Where? You're in New York City. I'm the one living on the mountain. You got to fly out here.
Back to New Zealand, actually, with all the other billionaires, and then we.
A hostile takeover of a billionaire bunker streamed live on the Feature Crew. That's how you grow subs.
Yep. Yep.
No comment.
We're seeing it. It's...
All right, Chris, what's going on over there? What's I can't see the text.
She's thinking. Let's see.
It's thinking.
Pull this up. I should probably have increased my font here. Directory Assembly, let me create a stunning modern website for the Feature Crew. Based on my research, this is an AI podcast with a casual, tech-savvy vibe. I'll go with a bold, futuristic aesthetic that captures the cutting-edge AI theme while being distinctive and memorable. Bold's an interesting call-out because part of the skill for front-end is to be bold and take risks on it. So I'm curious if that's a pickup there.
It sucks because it would have been an easy layup if it was like, oh, I see they use neon and brick everywhere. Then I would be like, okay, it's done its research. but we'll see.
Not watching the video just yet.
So are we saying Claude Code might not actually be AGI?
Yeah,
I'm
that
saying
is the hot take.
AGI, yeah, it's not even close.
But I saw some guy turned his lights off with Claude Code, so it must be AGI.
I saw him do it with Connect back in the day too.
Deep cut.
Bring back Connect.
Connect was great. Connect was cool. I mean,
It's
it's
an
just,
extra
it's
cool-
the problem with all of the motion controllers, which is that no one actually wants to do this for extended periods of time. This is the problem with every exercise game. This is the problem with every. It's why the Wii was like a great selling console that sold no units of software.
But what I would
Oh.
say is there like okay, maybe I'm weird, but in
Yes.
college, like Wii Sports became a thing almost as much as Smash. You know, like in like Smash is a great couch co-op game.
Yeah,
people
yeah,
play in lobbies.
yeah, totally.
But
It's fine.
we played a lot of Wii Sports, like hours and hours and hours on end. And
Yeah.
just Wii Sports for me hit the right level of I agree. You don't want to do any insane movements. This is also part of the reason why VR is struggling. But the movements in Wii Sports can be so understated. Like you can really just like flick the controller. And so like for me, Wii Sports, the cost of moving is overweighed by the like little like dopamine hit you get from make a little move and then see that appear on screen. I don't know. It was worth it for me.
Oh, that's totally right. But the problem is nobody bought any games. So like they bought the Wii, they got Wii Sports. They're like, I'm good. I don't
That's
need
fair.
more.
I mean, that we only played Wii Sports. There
And that's a
wasn't,
disaster.
and Wii Sports
for a
Resort was
console,
just
right.
the,
Because
you know,
consoles are all about getting you to buy 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games.
And Burkett Prime and other folks in the chat, is this text better or do we need it even a little bit larger? Maybe go one larger
Yeah, and I can move some of these
and then move
windows
them
so we
around.
can-
Yeah.
There's Sterber. Welcome back, man. Thanks for the feedback.
And then
She's
maybe
thinking
the
we got an
general smaller,
index.
and then we should be good.
Or I guess it's Der Straber.
Did we just do a serve.bat file?
Oh, the glowing ice cream cones. That was the PlayStation move. And I know this because I was an early adopter of PlayStation VR, and they reused the Move controllers as the controllers for the PlayStation VR.
It believes it has done its job.
Okay.
And Crime Fury, my brother would agree with you that modding the Wii is quite easy, and that free games are just abound.
I think I can just click the local link, but I wanted to answer how do I test it?
Yep.
Oh, I can just load it in my browser. All right, great. Let's try that. I'm intrigued by the fact that it did not make like a React site, which I'm so,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, just
All right, gents, we got something.
okay.
Moment of truth. Drum roll.
Moment.
Wait. Do I have a drum roll here?
You need one of those
Okay.
pads for like cool little audio.
Wait.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Production value going up.
Well, yeah, but at the end of the drum roll, there was nothing revealed.
Well, here you go.
Whoa.
The feature
There
crew
you go.
Oh my god,
episodes.
it's like Spotify got like run over by a steamroller or something.
This is bold. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
it
let's see
links.
the function. Okay.
well, it links. It links. Can we check the YouTube as well? If I'm wondering.
Wait, this is not true. We haven't not posted. Right?
I'm not logged in.
Oh, you need to be logged in to see posts.
Like, okay, it linked
Yeah,
off.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, in its
Not
defense,
bad.
this is better.
Yeah, it is
I,
better.
I think gun to my head, I would leave the current thing than put this up. Honestly.
It found all our social media.
Yeah, I
Wait,
love how your
I'm-
the fact
the
that
vibe
your
you're
profile picture is an 8 instead of a C. So funny.
And you're a B.
Research
Okay.
deep dive, real time reactions, good vibes only. It grabbed our
We're pretty
copy from the
AI
old
too.
site.
Which was AI written in the first place, so it's got like that copy problem.
Oh, it's got no
I mean-
content though, right? This is it. It's
That's
just
it.
scrolling to various
Yeah.
sections. But
And then latest
We do-
episodes, did it just grab the same like Spotify widget, or is that even? Can we see if that's even a widget, or if it just like?
Hallucinated,
so.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's hallucinated.
Which is wait, what is view all? Click view all.
it just goes to the YouTube channel.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a hallucination.
Well, and then click the AI planning revolution. Like click play on it.
These are
Yeah.
these are not real links.
Smart. Yeah, I was like, did we really make a video called that? Yeah, no. But look, I mean, the fact that it was actually able to do a little bit of pulling together, you know, it's getting there. Like that's, you know, someone saying, "Oh, AGA Lite, like this is getting pretty cool." If you showed this to me like 3 years ago, I would just flip out. 2 years ago, even flip out. Right? The fact that it was
Yeah.
able in terminal to go and do web searches and pull this all together in like one shot. Because again, it's one shot, right?
Yeah, with like
When
a
they're picking up,
2-sentence
like,
prompt. Yeah.
with 2 sentence prompt, I'm like, you know, if this was a college kid's first, you know, like portfolio website, we'd be like, wow, that's cool, man. Like, how did you do that CSS cursor thing? And now we're
Yeah.
just like, haha, this is like cheesy. Like, it does speak
That's
to how
true.
cool the coding age is getting. So it's cool.
Per the boiling in water comment. Yeah, exactly.
100%. And I think this
do.
also underscores something that I care a lot about, which is like closing the loop is like actual in-browser testing. Like these agents need to
Yes.
get really good at testing their work.
Cursor does do
and-
that sometimes.
Yes,
I didn't
they
use
all
Cursor's
do
full
them
power.
sometimes.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know about I can't speak for Claude Code, but all the ones that I use regularly do it sometimes. In my limited testing of Claude Code, I think I saw it even less in terms of like, you know, you can always prompt them to test. Then in certain domains, it's better, right? Like if you can just write and run tests. If it's like a
Right.
data-based problem, then it's much easier to test. If it's something that requires navigating a UI, that introduces another level of complexity, which is like currently handled by those like dedicated, you know, computer use, UI use agents. So we still need to see
Should
some
we-
collapsing there.
100% agree. Should we, in the meantime, give it a follow-up prompt to try and do neon plus brick as our like?
I was gonna give it
motif?
our page here and say like, can you match more of our aesthetic from the
Yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
page?
Yeah,
let's do
like
that.
let's give it one more shot. Given it did like not bad, and see how it goes with like a specific ask to get to our motif.
All right, here's where I screw this up usually, which is how do you paste photos to Claude Code? Because I'm used to my lovely cursor world where I can just hit Control-C, Control-V, but can you match our YouTube channel aesthetic? Look at that. Instead of the neon hell we see.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
Derek Straber, I completely agree. Like Derek Straber in chat is saying like one shot is not always the best test. Being able to
No.
iterate is far more important, which is true, right? And is indicative of like how you can actually arrive at a useful result, even if the first result isn't the most valuable thing. Sometimes we tend to use one shot as a baseline on the channel because it's just the easiest way to be fair across models, and then we always want to push them further, you know, where time and compute permit.
All right, I gave it an image for YouTube channel. See what we get. No, and for the record, that has been my take on Claude Code, using it at work and personal projects, is I am not seeing, outside of the fact that it can grep a really big code base and it seems to be able to understand larger code bases really well. And I haven't used Codex on a larger code base, so I can't speak to that. Maybe Jacob can speak more to that. That's been good, but the actual nuts and bolts of like, can we move this thing? Can we tweak this? This seems all off. That's still a very frustrating back and forth that I find is easier in Cursor than I do in the terminal. But that might just be a preference.
I think.
And this is why, like, you know,
It's still
certain
painful.
offerings have terminal and chat and multiple features. Like where I feel Claude, like the Claude models the Anthropic models are great, and Claude Code may very well be the best terminal harness there is. Maybe I haven't seen compelling evidence of that, like a detailed test that shows that, and I haven't like necessarily found it anecdotally, but it's possible. But the feature gap is huge, in my opinion. Like Cursor, Copilot, Codex have a far wider feature set and accommodate more workflows.
And I'm sure some of the comments going to say you can use Claude Code as an extension in Cursor and VS Code. They have that. I've liked that just fine. I figured we'd start with just the pure terminal because that's probably what most people are hearing about or seeing. But design is still a problem. Design's a problem the whole way through. At work, I set up the Figma MCP, which is okay. It's not as build though. Its build is like, we're going to pixel perfect this. And even when you look at like some people have made individual canvases for that, that's not useful to me. It is not useful to me when someone says, hey, you can take your Figma design and we'll drop it on our canvas and we'll pump out a React app. Yeah, man, that's not why I get paid. I get paid for modifying existing UI and adding views in existing code bases. And I have no doubt that we're getting slightly better at from scratch building up a site. But to the commenter's point, it's all about the real grunt work is, oh, hey, cool, we have this really old interface at our company. We want to do X, Y, and Z to it. And that has to be pixel polished because that's what's going to show up in the design review. And I have found no evidence any of the models are there yet.
Wait, does the Figma MCP not support writing to the Figma file? It only supports reading?
I think it does go both ways now. I could be wrong about that, but I've used it mostly as a read. And it does pull in the components, and that's useful. If you have your code base set up decently well, it'll look to the icons and the libraries you already have included, which is good. But you really have to be careful on naming. It's very hard to communicate to it a flow. Like a lot of what I do is interaction flows in like Copilot or something, right? And you got to say, we're going to start here, go here, and get to here. And you almost want to be able to have a screen where you can just annotate the heck out of it and say, this is the first screen. This part's going to animate. The animate's going to be a radial. We're going to go here. This fades in. This part of the conversation should move up. And it is pretty far from that in my experience. Maybe I'm using it poorly. Could be. But that's the gap I feel on the visual side.
No, that's unfortunate because you see some of our like even just when we run those Vibe Bench tests with the SVG, like you see it getting way better every model, every turn of the crank on the models, and those are one shots, right? Those aren't multi turns. But I would have to imagine that the multi turn is also getting better there. Maybe that's a dedicated test we should run. And so then if it can't do that, like let's say you're not using a Figma MCP in a code base and you're just trying to
screenshots are awful. It's bad at that.
Yeah, it still struggles. Yeah. And I think that maybe that's part of it. Like there are a bunch of with the spikiness of this intelligence, it's like, okay, what do you want to do? If you just want to take an old design and then pixel perfect correct it, then those high level tools you were talking about, oh, we want the gradient to do this, we want this thing to move over. Like Figma already supports all those tools. So theoretically, if you expose those high level tools to an agent, and its only responsibility is tweaking the design in Figma, it should be able to do a better job of that multi-turn tweaking than it would on like a live code base. And then if the image understanding was great, then you could just take a screenshot of the cool result in Figma and send it over to the coding agent. And that whole process could become more integrated down the road. But I think with the spiky intelligence, there are still gaps in all the different pieces. But the tests like Vibe Bench to me show that like we are improving with like, let's say spatial reasoning, like very quickly. And so I would expect when you give it high level tools and give it the ability to check its work visually that.
Right. That's a key point is that it can't check its work visually very easily. Yeah. It needs to be able to do that. They're starting to see things pushing on that. And I would say the MCP is a measurable difference than giving it a screenshot because it's passing over React components effectively. So it's speaking its own language and it has to translate those into your code base. But hey, that's better than just giving it a screenshot and hoping that whatever tool they use for that is good. We have a redesigned website, allegedly. We'll find out.
Allegedly.
That's what we're being told. Let's see. I have way too many tabs open for this, so we're going to find that for a second here, but we're just going to reopen it. All right, let's see what we got. Drum roll.
Nope.
Screen share. That wasn't quick on my draw there because our screen isn't showing up. We are struggling here. All right. Here we go.
The IED IDE confusion was almost as funny as me accidentally clicking the joke sound.
So we did get some branding updates.
Oh, but it didn't really follow our.
No, it really didn't.
It doesn't look bad per se.
No, but it just basically updated CSS, right? Like,
yeah,
I think
it still
maybe
has
just
the little
got the kind of,
waveform
like,
thing.
Red from like the YouTube channel or whatever. I was like, well, I can see the feature crew, like it's kind of like the feature.
It had
bit
the
was,
little
like, flashing,
pulse.
like neon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
flicker,
pulse like
the
neon or
flicker.
whatever. But it's not really.
Yeah.
It wasn't a visual understanding, which is fine. Like, maybe they're just like text scraping and stuff, whatever. But yeah.
also, there's some bad practices happening here. It hard coded our subscriber numbers. It hard coded the stats in general.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now, I
boy.
didn't tell it to make a React project. I didn't tell it to do anything more specific. So this is fixable.
Right, but this gets to the taste thing, right? Where it's like when people are like, "Oh, software engineering is dead." Well, like knowing whether you call it software engineering or architecture or product management or program management, whatever you want to call it, knowing what to ask for here is still really important because when
Yeah,
you
that's
just say that we want a website for our YouTube channel, it's just gonna do this awful stuff. And then if you deploy this, then you check back in a week and you're like, "Wait, we have more subscribers now, right?" You know,
Right. Exactly.
and this is a really low level thing of like, yes, the subscribers need to stay up to date, right? This is a website. It should be understood.
Well, this is where you got a gap in the market right now for the Replets and the Lovables who give it a better harness and try to like tune it to what the average user expects. And that feels like a moment in time to me. I wouldn't be betting long on those companies, but like right now that is super valuable because if you just one shot it like I did, I was trying to behave naively. I did install a front end skill, so maybe not that naively, but it still isn't quite there on, oh cool, this is a fully functional website as I expect it to be.
I see them as like the, Wix or like Squarespace or like, all those like
Squarespace is huge, right? I mean,
and they're
my wife works in preschool, since every preschool runs a Squarespace site now. Every small business is running a Square site or a Squarespace site or Wix.
Yeah, I guess like
whatever.
WordPress was the original. Like those things, those are the original harnesses, and those things have a place, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, how long do they have a place, right? There's always this dream of like, okay, well, the agents are going to be AGI, so then they're going to implement everything from scratch. But you don't want to implement everything from scratch, right? So then, but like a more unopinionated tool like Claude Code can pull in whatever libraries it needs, but it needs to be told to pull in those libraries. It might not necessarily know. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Like I think at first, minimal opinionated harnesses will be really powerful, and then over time maybe you'll just see like core components that are really hard to re-implement stick around. But that's a lot of speculation.
How we doing on time, gents? I know there's some hard outs here.
Yeah, I think we're already 15 minutes over, so
awesome.
I think maybe it's time to wrap up. I think definitely thank you everybody for coming and watching, and as we said before, we are working out the kinks of these live streams and trying to figure out exactly what's the type of content folks want to see. We had our growth stopped a little bit. I'm looking at the viewer count when we started doing the demos, but we love demos on the channel. And so definitely let us know what you want to see. Like, should we keep doing the demos? Should we just keep the live streams focus on news? We're responsive to feedback. So we want to hear what y'all have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all very much.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and join us at 5:30 Eastern next week for another Feature Crew Live. And keep an eye on the channel if any models drop, and we'll be making our normal review videos.
Awesome. Take care, folks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Raj.